Following a weekend of violence in America, President Trump addressed the nation this morning, calling on lawmakers to be bipartisan so they can pass laws to help end mass shootings. Here to talk about this is Ed Scruggs with Texas Gun Sense. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Now, one of the two shootings this weekend happened in El Paso. Several lawmakers have responded since Saturday, saying Governor Abbott should call a special session to address gun violence. Do you think he will?
Well, it's hard to tell. We've had several opportunities at this, unfortunately, after Sutherland Springs and after Santa Fe High School, and the governor declined to call special sessions both times. There is validity in the call for a special session because I truly believe we are in an emergency. We just experienced one of the largest racially motivated massacres in U.S. history using a high-powered firearm. So if that's not an emergency, I don't know what is. However, we would need to look and see what would be the reasoning for the special session. Would it be to consider special dedicated legislation, or would it just be open-ended? We've seen before in the past the Texas legislature can get together and go the opposite direction and make it easier to carry weapons, and we certainly don't need that right now. So again, it could be something very productive, but we would just have to wait and see.
Ed, will lawmakers, whether it's at the state level or federal level, be able to work together to find a solution to the problem, or does the cycle just repeat itself?
Well, if we're ever going to solve this or come close, we have to work together. And by working together, that means, one, there has to be a realization that guns do play a role in gun violence, and that's been the biggest stumbling block when you get down to it in trying to come together on legislation, because the hardcore proponents of gun rights will not admit that. It has to do with mental health or poverty or crime or video games or something else, and it never has anything to do with the gun. And so you can't really come up with good legislation if you're taking a major part of it out of the equation. So perhaps now we might get somewhere, I'm hoping, but the odds, it's a steep climb to get there.
Well, and speaking of that, Ed, the president is blaming violent video games, white supremacy, social media, mental illness for attacks that we've seen. He's not blaming guns. What do you make of that?
Again, a prime example of what I just said. You're taking a very key part of the equation out, and you're just talking about really symptoms that you're agreeing with. Video games, I don't buy it. They have the same video games we have in Japan, England, Canada, Germany. They also have mental illness in those countries too, really on par with us, and they don't have the gun violence that we have. There's something missing there, and that's the level of guns that we have. So I do agree that they contribute in the sense of if you have an unstable person, but also what contributes is hateful language and rhetoric and just the division and the racial hatred that's in society. White supremacy, there is absolutely no doubt that it is playing a role in these recent mass shootings. We saw it in California, we saw it in El Paso, we saw it in Pittsburgh with the synagogue. The president did mention white supremacy today, so I heard it this morning. He's kind of hit a single on that one, which is good, to admit that white supremacy is playing a role in this. But in terms of mass shooting violence, it definitely is, and that's something we should be able to come together and agree on now.
Okay. Ed, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your perspective with us tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.